Okay, so we are recording, so people, if you want to listen to it again, or you know somebody that you would like to have listen to it, you can refer them. That type of thing. So first, I want to welcome everybody, and I know it's been a couple months since we had the class. Patty canceled on me last time, so I just want to make that clear.
Nancy. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Tammy.
Okay. Tammy and Nancy. All right. So tonight I want to talk about things that are we face every single day. Okay. And who's that one?
Tammy Prevost and Nancy Chase.
Oh. Okay, Tammy. Okay, and that is toxins. And we're going to talk about some of them. Some of it gets really in depth, and I don't want to get into the real deep things. We just want to I want people to understand what we're facing on a day-to-day basis with our life, and how I get people that tell me all the time, I feel that I'm eating well. I feel that I'm doing the right things, but I just don't feel well. And there's a lot of things that go on in our life that we can't avoid, and that is environmental toxins. Now, some of them we can avoid, some of them we can be much more careful with, and some of this stuff you've heard before, but we need to hear it over and over and over, because we get a little bit complacent with what we're doing in our life. And it's easy to get off track. So we want to talk about really what are toxins. When you hear us say all the time, when people come in and do foot baths, we go, those are toxins. When people are detoxing and they say, I don't feel well, and this is happening and that's happening, my skin is breaking out. Why? Because it's toxins that are in the body. Okay. So basically we want to ask the question, what are toxins? What are they? All right. And kind of a brief overview is toxins are pollutants. Okay. They can be synthetic chemicals, heavy metals, processed foods. So all of those things are toxins. So toxins isn't just a one thing. There's the spread for it is so wide that we have to understand that almost anything we do, you don't have to live and I don't want to pick on any place, but Pittsburgh, where they have all the factories and everything going to breathe pollutants. Okay, pollutants travel across the country. When there's wildfires in California, in time we get some of those toxins as it comes across the country, and we breathe them. And as Patty and I were talking about our presentation tonight earlier, and I said, there's things you have to breathe, so there's no way to avoid it. Toxins are substances and organisms that negatively affect our health. Okay, there is no toxin that is good for us. So that's the first thing. It's a foreign invader. It enters the body, and then it triggers a breakdown of the immune system. And all the time, all of you who have been with us, we talk about the immune system. You have to strengthen the immune system. It's always about building and strengthening the immune system, because it's like a war. You have the toxins, the pollutants, whatever it might be, and then you have your immune system who is trying to protect you. And when we get too many pollutants in our body or toxins, the immune system can't keep up. It can't get rid of things. It can't protect the body. And then what happens is those same toxins create chronic inflammation that lead to severe health problems. The older we are, the greater the impact of the toxins. Okay, we always have to remember that. I work with people right now. I'm working with a young lady. She's 80 years old. Okay, and she was in today, and she said, I'm not feeling well yet. And I said, you've only been in the program for 7 days. Today's only day 7. For 80 years, you've been absorbing toxins and things happening to your body, and you cannot expect to feel good permanently in 7 days. It doesn't work that way. Only God could do that, okay? Make things happen in 7 days, all right? And as Patty will tell you, I'm not God, okay? So we just get that out of the way real quick, okay? But we have to understand that the older we are, the more damage it's creating, the longer and the more exposure we've had to these toxins, whether it's from foods, whether it's from the air, whether it's from any source, we're less healthy, and it's harder to get rid of it. All the time people say to me, I've never felt this way before. Well, you've never been this old before. Your body hasn't been this toxic before. So everything is a first. And that's why all of a sudden we just feel miserable and our system breaks down. So we're gonna go into the pollutant, environmental pollutants, okay? It's amazing to think that there's 70,000, and some people say there's more, new petrochemicals since the Industrial Revolution, just from petrochemicals, 70,000. So if you are anywhere around manufacturing sites, and if you've lived around those areas at any time in your life, if you pump gas in your car, any of those things, you are absorbing petrochemicals, all right? And they're obtained from petroleum refining. Now, some people say, well, that's what's destroying our environment. That's what's, all this stuff that's going on. Yes and no, but some of it we're never going to avoid. It's the way life is, and it's the way life works for progression. And as we progress, we are going to have more and more toxins. So think about something simple that I bet you almost everybody that's on here tonight has in their house, and that's a microwave. Microwave creates toxins, and microwave pollutes the human body. It destroys the nutrients in our food. So when you eat microwave food, you're not getting any nutrients. So we have to understand that as we progress and we decide that we want the easy or the quick or the better things, there's going to be pollutants that are going to actually be absorbed in the body. So they're obtained from fossil fuels such as coal and natural gas, or renewable sources such as maize, palm fruit, or sugar cane. And sugar cane and palm fruit we eat, we put in our body. Now, again, I'm going to go because I know there'll be questions about environment and global warming, et cetera. And based on this, but people don't understand that when they do electric vehicles, that the cobalt, you have to have fossil fuel to make the batteries, okay? So we're never going to get away from it all, no matter what direction it goes, and I'm not going to sit here and say which direction I want it to go, but that's not the source. But we're never, ever going to get away from these petrochemicals that are in the air and that are around us. So examples of fat-soluble toxins are the pesticides in food, okay? So what do we mean by pesticides in food? People, all of our food is sprayed. All of our food is done because the FDA says it has to be done in order to protect us. The problem is that the protection is toxic. When people buy from the store some of these sprays that they spray on fruits and veggies, they're actually a form of a toxic material in them, okay? Other ones are parabens, and parabens comes in personal care products. Everything from hairspray, lipstick, makeup, a lot of our deodorants.
Hiding my lips.
And I told Ben, we were again talking about this today, and I said, I'm not going to convince, or nobody's going to convince people well, in this case, we're talking about women, hopefully, not to wear lipstick or put on makeup or use hairspray or whatever. Okay, we're going to do it, and that's just the way it is. So we have to understand what we're doing and try to eliminate it as best we can, and get the products that are the healthiest for us in as many areas as we can. So some of these we can reduce. A couple of months ago, I had a woman come on with all natural products, and some of you were on, where she makes them herself, so there's no parabens and things in them. I highly recommend when people use cleaners that they get cleaning products that are not toxic. Okay. Now, the one thing that you'll find out when you start using cleaning products, and we've experienced it, like toilet bowl cleaners, it doesn't clean them as quickly as the chemicals, which makes sense. Okay. Chemicals are designed to do it. Most people say, you know what, I don't want to have to clean it twice a week. I only want to clean it once a week or whatever. So they want to use a toxic waste. Okay, that's your choice, but you have to understand you are absorbing these type of parabens in your body. The next one is phthalates, which is better known as BPA, and those are plastics. Okay, so anybody who drinks water from bottled water is getting BPAs. You cannot avoid it because it's soft plastic. It starts to melt when it's in heat, when it gets around heat, and it gets in the water, and water is a carrier, so it transfers it as you drink it in your body. The thing is that, what can we do? Well, you can get filtered water. You don't want to drink tap water, which will come up here in just a little bit. But we have to drink water. That's the whole problem. But we have to choose the type of water that has the least amount or risk of the BPAs. The next word, petrothylene, which is for dry cleaning. Now, I personally take all my work clothes to the dry cleaners. I'll admit it. And I know that by doing that, there are some toxins that when I put the shirts and the pants on, that I'm getting some toxic waste from it. All right. I'm not the type that's going to be washing my clothes and standing over the iron and ironing. It's just not going to happen. As you know, it's just the way where things work for me. So those are another form of toxins. Fluoride, which we get in toothpaste and water. We always want fluoride free. That's one thing that we can do. Now, somebody's going to say, well, my dentist says I should use fluoride, and fluoride is good for the teeth. It used to be thought that until more studies came out and realized that fluoride was very harmful to the human body. And too much fluoride can actually break down the immune system and make people very sick. So we have to look at that and not be around too much fluorinated water or doing the toothpaste or mouthwash. Flame retardants. Flame retardants are primarily in today's society on furniture. Okay, so that furniture doesn't burn when people put things on it, or cigarettes, that type of thing. But if you remember, they used to put flame retardant stuff on clothing, especially things like pajamas and different things like that, which they found was very, very toxic to young children because their immune systems were weak and their body couldn't deal with it. Okay, so those are something. If you have furniture and you buy furniture, you're going to have those type of things on the furniture. Heavy metals, which is tin. Now, this is one reason why when we put people on programs, we tell them not to eat food from a can. A can is tin. And people say, well, they must have things to protect the food from the tin. There probably is, but it's another chemical that's doing it. Okay. And the whole idea of having tin or your food sitting in tin all the time is not necessarily a good idea. But it's one reason why canned food lasts so long. It'll last forever. It doesn't spoil, okay? So as long as you don't open it, it'll be fine. And then you have lead, which is the paint and all the stuff that's went on about lead paint and the old buildings and different things. Mercury can be from dental. And also you can get a lot of mercury from shoreline fish. So people that eat a lot of shrimp, a lot of lobster, those kind of things, if they eat a lot of it, you're going to be ingesting heavy metals. And then of course, exhaust is air pollution. And we mentioned fuel as well, the diesel fuel. So these are all examples, and there's many more obviously, of ways that we are around toxins. And a lot of times when I do my cytoscans, it'll come up with words such as glyphosate, it'll pesticides, insecticides. People go, I'm not around it. Oh, you are. You just don't realize that you are. And a lot of times there's nothing that we can do about it because we have to live a life. We have to be there. Okay. So what are fat soluble toxins?
So the thing is that fat soluble means they're going to absorb into your fat
Correct.
on your body and stay there a lot longer, and it's harder to get rid of it.
And the more fat you carry, the more dangerous it can become. Okay, because fat, we always say fat is toxic. Fat is toxic, and that's why we will build up layers of cellulite and different things like that, because that's really what cellulite is fat soluble toxins, which the body protects the vital organs, and it forces it to the surface of the skin from the inside of the skin, and that's what creates that bubbly, bumpy areas, especially in places that don't get a lot of movement. Okay, so upper thighs, buttocks, different things like that. For men, it's stomach, in the stomach area. So we'll find that. And for men, a lot of times it'll become very hard on the stomach, and men will have this big stomach and it's real hard, and it feels like men say, well, it's muscle or whatever, but it's not. Okay, it's toxic waste. So okay, so synthetic chemicals are not things that, for the most part, are things that were made in a lab. Okay, things that they produce. So synthetic means that the compound is not a naturally occurring product. And of course, that's the most dangerous. And it includes ingredients. And that's why we always tell people on programs, read ingredients, okay? Because food manufacturers put a lot of synthetic chemicals into food for different reasons. Number one is to preserve the food so it doesn't go bad real fast. The other one is in the materials and textiles, okay, that we use all the time. So when you go and you buy a dress or you buy a suit or whatever it might be, you can be rest assured that there are synthetic chemicals in that material that you're going to put on your body. Cosmetics, toxins you can avoid. Cleaning supplies, some of you can avoid. And the materials. So you want to look at parabens, chlorine, triglycerin, ammonia, sodium hydroxide, okay? And the last one is called PERC, okay? I don't know what quartz is, but it's quaternary ammonium compounds, which is mostly found in cleaning products. So those are some of the things that you really want to try to avoid in your day-to-day life. And those are some of the things we can avoid if we look for the right products that we want to use on our body or internally. So a lot of times we see a lot of heavy metals in the body, okay? And again, people say, well, I'm not around heavy metals. I'm not around that, but we are. Lead can come from water pipes. And when we live in a house, in a home, in a business that the building has been around a long time, it starts to, the water itself that goes through those pipes has lead in it. And then it gets into the pipe and it creates a, what's the word?
Buildup.
Yeah, buildup and a corrosion within it. And then as the water comes out, small amounts of lead come out. If you're around batteries or around painting, gasoline, construction materials, people that work around lumber, they use a lot of contaminants on the lumber to keep it from drying out too much. And so when people are around that, they can become unhealthy simply because of the things they're handling. They handle it with their hands, they put it up against their body to carry it, whatever. Mercury is liquid in thermometers, light bulbs, dental, the silver fillings, batteries, seafood again, and topical antiseptics, okay? All of those things have mercury, and we know that we handle some of those things. We're around light bulbs. Most of us have been to the dentist. You know, we have batteries and a multitude of things. We eat seafood. So all of that stuff is entered our body. And that's another reason why heavy metals will show up, even though you think you're not around it. Arsenic. Now, we always think of arsenic as something that's deadly poison. And, you know, if you do arsenic, you'll die. Well, arsenic comes in a lot of different ways, okay? Believe it or not, rice has a small amount of arsenic. And that's one reason that we tell people, limit your amount of rice. It's also a carb. So if people are trying to lose weight, we convince them or try to convince them not to do too much carbs anyway. But by nature, just through the growing process, rice has arsenic. But so does topical creams, herbicides and insecticides, stuff that you spray in the yard to kill the weeds, that and the pesticides. When funguses come up in the yards and people say your yard has a fungus and is killing the grass, they'll use fungicides, which has arsenic. Paints have it, enamels, glass, contaminated water, seafood again. And I'm not trying to scare you away from seafood, but if you're going to eat a lot of seafood, you want deep water, cold water seafood. Shoreline seafood is contaminated with arsenic and mercury, okay? Why? Because the water is contaminated. It's from the runoff of everything that we do. So a lot of our shorelines, maybe 10, 15 miles off of shore, is contaminated with mercury and arsenic. Cadmium is cigarette smoke, metal plating and batteries. And you don't have to smoke to get this. People with secondhand smoke, many studies say secondhand smoke is as dangerous or more dangerous than smoking for the lungs and the body. And then thallium is rotisseries, pesticides, and fireworks. If you've ever been to fireworks, there's this lingering smell in the air, and that's what that is. And now, of course, we don't go to a lot of fireworks, so it's not something I would say never go to fireworks, all right? But you will smell it a little bit, and for some people, it can bother them. So, again, you never want to drink water. I'd say never drink water from a tap unless you have it completely tested and make sure that you're not getting contamination. And even if you have well water, so many times people tell me I have well water, but well water is water obviously in the well, but because of runoff in the soil, it can get into the well. And it used to be that if you had a deep well, you really didn't have to worry about it. But we're living in a different environment now because of everything that is out there and all the pollutants that gets in the air, on the earth, etc. And it's called runoff. And that is why when people start eating, they say, I only do organic. Well, anymore, because of the pollution in the air and everything, we don't know what is totally organic anymore. Because if there is substances in the air and you get a rainstorm, that brings it down and there's no way to stop it from getting on the quote unquote organic food. So whether it's, any of these items, heavy metals, that's another reason we have to wash all fruits and veggies, whether they're organic or not. We have to wash them, we have to clean them, we have to make sure that we are eating and drinking purity as much as we possibly can. Another synthetic ingredients is processed foods, okay, and they cause inflammation. One of the biggest causes of cholesterol is processed foods. All right, they used to say it was because of butter, red meat, etc. But the truth is, it's all about processed foods. Number one, white flour. White flour, rice, your pastas, and breads. They're all processed, okay? Even if it says gluten-free, it's still processed. And gluten-free is a buzzword, okay? It's the in thing now. Just like fat-free and sugar-free and all that stuff, okay? Because it leads people to believe that it's fine. And you notice it says white flour. Now, brown is much better if you're going to eat it because it hasn't been processed. And I don't know if you know this, but enriched flour or white flour, there's 17 nutrients in flour. And in order to make the flour last longer or get more out of it, at some time in our society, it was presented to the FDA and said, if we bleach it and take out the nutrients, it'll turn white, but it'll, instead of 5 lobes, you get 20 lobes, okay? And the FDA came back and said, as long as you put one of the nutrients back in it, of the 14, you can do it. And that's how that all came about. That's why we have white flour, white rice, white pasta, and white breads, because you're going to pay the same amount, but they're going to be able to make the 20 loaves instead of the 5 loaves. So obviously the manufacturers, the companies, the food industry makes more money. Preservatives and additives, okay? Sodium nitrate is in processed meats and canned food, to include deli meats, okay? So when you go to the deli and you want half a pound of a turkey breast, you are actually ingesting sodium nitrate because of the meat. They do it to preserve it. Same thing with the canned foods. That's why canned foods last forever. It's another reason, okay? BHA and BHT is in cereals, gum, and potato chips. Now, I know there's nobody that's listening today that likes to nibble on potato chips, okay? And we all have. But when I see people chewing gum all the time, they're absorbing these synthetic, not real, synthetic ingredients, okay? And again, they're causing all kinds of inflammation. They're blocking nutrient absorption, problems with digestion, and obviously that creates adverse reactions within our body. And glutamates is in processed foods. That's also another way with the sodium nitrate in order to preserve it. MSG foods. What's the most common MSG?
Chinese food.
Yep. If you ever eat Chinese food, most of the time you will have a very dry mouth, okay? I call it like a cotton mouth. They're just dry, dry, dry. Especially when you wake up during the night or early in the morning, you'll be like, just ridiculous, okay? So MSG you want to stay away from. Artificial sweeteners and colors. Anytime you have colors, that is a synthetic ingredient. So people that eat candy like M&Ms or some of that, those colorings are, they are very, very toxic to the body. And especially for children that are growing up and they love to eat M&Ms, it's not necessarily the peanut inside of it, it's the coloring on the shell. Artificial sweeteners, high fructose corn syrup and aspartame. Now, both of those products have been classified as carcinogens, okay, meaning they cause cancer. The FDA has said it. It's in the information, but they still can produce it because the FDA said it's okay. Because the FDA says if it's in small amounts, it's not going to hurt you. And that might be true. But if you're doing the sodium nitrates and the BHAs and the BHTs and the glutamates and the MSG and the high fructose corn syrup and the colorings, you're doing it all. It doesn't take much more of aspartame or high fructose corn syrup or any of the others in order to create a breakdown of the immune system. So you really have to understand, and a lot of times in colorings, they won't put the color, they put a number, okay, like number 5, that means yellow, so it's 6, and on and on. So again, they try to do it because most people don't understand the numbers. It's a big deal, it's got a number 3, okay? So we just have to be cognizant of really what that is saying. And the 5 beauty robbing foods for our body is refined sugar, number 1, okay? Your chemicals and your artificial sweeteners, hydrogenated oils, and trans fat and refined grains. So the key part is here that when I say the 5 beauty robbing, and I don't necessarily mean looks, but it's internal as well. Those are the things, but you cannot go out and eat. You cannot go out and buy most of your foods without getting this stuff in the foods. And that is why it's so important to target what food you're eating. Because there are people listening to this right now who struggle mightily with refined grains because they'll get indigestion and almost have to be hospitalized, okay? But the food is so addictive that the brain keeps telling you you need it and it's okay. And that's the hard part. So when we did our February detox and we put people on the superfoods, what we found was that once people got away from these beauty robbing foods and eating the other foods, after a while they started longing for the good food and kind of forgot about the bad foods. But the problem is once we transfer into the bad foods again, our body wants that. And then we forget about the good foods. So it's really a back and forth. And that's a reason why we like to talk to people regularly, because it reminds them to stay on course. And the transition is so slow of our health, we don't feel it overnight normally. It takes quite a bit of time in order for us to feel the effects of these. But over the years, they are. And I'll talk to people on the phone sometimes and they'll say, I don't eat much sugar. So I'll ask them what they're eating and they'll tell me foods and they're all loaded with this stuff. And I try to tell them, but a lot of people just don't want to accept it. They just say, no, I'm not. My medical problems aren't because of that. Well, I'm here to tell you, 95% of all of our medical issues are caused by what we put in our body, unequivocally, okay? So from weight gain to cancer, it's what we have put in our body, and the importance of cleaning it up is paramount. Okay, how do they affect your body? Okay, all these toxins. They create inflammation. Okay, acute inflammation and chronic inflammation. Acute inflammation is inflammation that you feel right now. I mean, you feel it, it hurts. Chronic is stuff that's been around a long time. And many times people say, I don't have much chronic inflammation, but as we talk about it, oh, my knees hurt all the time. Well, that's chronic. My hands hurt all the time. That's chronic. You've gotten used to it. You accept it. You think this is the way life is supposed to be because I'm getting older, okay? And that's the way it works. Cognitive is a brain. Studies have come out recently that the cause of Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, is due to inflammation, chronic inflammation within the intestinal tract and digestive system. Okay? And we talk a lot about gut-brain connection. If the gut stays unhealthy, it constantly affects the brain. And they're starting to realize that if we can get younger people to take care of their intestinal tract on a regular basis, it's believed without any doubt that we can cut down on cognitive disease. All right. Toxins affect energy, low energy. I'm going to tell you, if you start eating candies and stuff like that, your energy will be depleted. You might feel good as soon as you eat it because that's at sugar high, but it drops. Hormones. Hormones are today, male and female are an all-time low. Okay. The hormones are way off balance. And most of it's because of what we put in our body, whether it's intentional or unintentional. But all you have to do is watch TV and listen to the radio. And there's all kinds of commercials for ED and different things like that. And they're talking about people, men in this case, I'll talk about, in their 40s, 30s and 40s now. Why? Because it is all the stuff that's going on from the time they were kids, and it's a buildup, slow buildup. Women, libido is low all the time. It's just low. Why? Poor health. Bone health, osteoporosis, osteopenia is caused by toxins, not because you're getting older. It's because we haven't taken care of the body. And then later on in the bone health deteriorates. So we get broken bones, people fall, slip, break things, etc. Immunity, our immune system, it just crashes our immune system. But in reality, the immune system is part of everything we've talked about. All these things are listed on the screen. A weak immune system is you're going to have an increase in inflammation, cognitive issues, digestion, energy, hormones, and bone health. Skin, hair, and nails are all on the outside. And let's face it, most people will go to get their nails done and their hair done and all that stuff to make it look like there aren't problems, but there's a tremendous amount of hair loss, skin issues, acne breakouts, all kinds of issues with skin, psoriasis, etc. All of that is caused by what's happening internally in the body based on the poisons and the toxic waste that goes in our body. Okay, and that's why the body heals from the inside out and it's diseased from the inside out. So what can you do about all these? Okay, honestly, what can we do? And I know there's people listening saying, what the heck are you going to do about it? Okay, it's doomsday. It's there's nothing I can do. Oh, yes, there is. Okay, we have to take care of ourselves just like you take care of everything else in your life. You take care of your home, you take care of your car, you take care of your clothes, you take care of all of it. All right. There are ways to do it, obviously. And we call it mind, body, and spirit. Okay. Mental, physical, and spiritual. And most of you heard me say that you cannot separate any of these from one another. If the mind is off, if you're depressed, your physical and spiritual health is going to falter. If your physical health is failing, your mind and your spiritual health is going to fail. If you don't have spiritual health, your body and your mind will fail. And people will fall into depression and different things like that. So they're all connected. We have to take care of all three aspects of our life: mind, body, and spirit. And if we do, a lot of these environmental toxins, which we know we're going to be exposed to, we can overcome. The body can fend them off and take care of the ones that we do get in our body. Obviously, if we don't care about ourselves, mind, body, spirit, and we just say, I don't care, I'm just going to do what I want to do and let the cards fall where they might, so be it. Then you're not going to take care of yourself and you're not going to be healthy, okay? That's just the way it goes for some people. So what do? You have to drink water. Now, I go back to earlier conversation and say, water is a difficult subject because tap water is not good. You have to make sure it's clean. Bottled water is not good. And if you drink smart water, it's not making you smarter. So what do? Okay, so, but you have to drink water. Even if there is some contaminants in it, you still have to drink water because you cannot go without water. So you have to hydrate. And anybody who wants to talk about their water source, we can at any time. But I firmly believe in having it filtered in your home. I don't necessarily believe you have to get a whole filter for the whole home, but at least your drinking water needs to be pure. We need to eat proper food. Again, we need to clean our food. We need to wash it and know it's clean, okay? I'm guilty. Last night I went and got some blueberries and I was eating blueberries on the way home, okay, I know the thing. So yes, sometimes we do things and I thought about it later and I thought, I'm gonna be talking about this tomorrow night and I was just eating blueberries that I didn't wash. But the key thing is we want good, nutrient-rich food. And I am going to encourage the people that are detoxing with us starting Monday after the detox. When you start eating, go back to those foods again for a while. Go back to them and you'll be surprised again how good you feel. So anybody who needs a list of those foods, all you got to do is let me know and then I'll pass on to Patty and she'll get it to you. I love telling you.
Just skip the middleman, just ask me.
Get fat, okay? And this is my favorite part, getting fat, okay? But that means eat good fats, okay? Which means raw nuts, wild caught salmon, avocados, mushrooms. Beans, okay. I was thinking that some of those were olives. I want to tell you.
I think those olives.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, good hummus, okay, is good for you. Those are some of the good fats that you need in your body. You cannot survive without fat. You have to have fat in your body. So please, if you know somebody who's trying to lose weight and said, I'm not going to put fat in my body, they will become sick, okay? And run down and anemic or whatever. We have to have fat, but it's got to be good fat and clean fat. Okay, we have to detox. We have to clean our body. Just like we shower, just like we bathe, just like we wash our hair, we wash our floors, all that. We have to do the same thing for our body. And that's detoxifying. Now, there's very few people that say, I love to detox. And I'm not one that says that, okay? I know since COVID started, I've been doing detoxes, so is Patty, and at least once every 6 weeks to 2 months. We tell people at least once every 3 months, detoxify, clean your body out. Whether it's this one or the one with the greens, it doesn't matter. But you got to get inside the body and clean it out. You're not going to clean it by saying, I'm just going to drink more water. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen by itself. Nor should you detox without the supplements. Why? Because when you detox, you need nutrients. You need the blood purifiers. You need the psyllium husk in order to scrub the colon walls and get rid of all that garbage that's been built up in your colon and your liver and flush that out. So otherwise, it just sits there. So just understand there's a way to detox and there's a way not to detox. Control stress. Now, this one is, again, like water is hard. People need to slow down, relax, and de-stress. Okay, let me repeat that. Slow down. We live one time. Slow down. All this stuff that we're trying to be so wonderful at, and we can't take it with us, okay? But while we're on this earth, we need to be healthy and not be so overly mentally stressed. We have to learn to relax and breathe. We call it 4-7-8. Anybody wants information on that, again, ask me and I'll have Patty let you know. Relax, breathe, and just some of the things we worry about. Why? Why do we worry? It's, my belief is give it to God. Okay, if I can't change it, I don't care if it's politics, I don't care what it is. I can't change it, then why worry about it? Give it up, give it away. All right, it's not worth it, the stress on your heart, your mind, and the people around you. It's not worth it, trust me. The best way to know what you need, when you need it, how you need it, is to do a Zyto scan. All right, we can do them remote, we can do them in-house, obviously, okay? But that's the best way to know. It'll tell us, is your body stressed with pesticides and insecticides or glyphosate or whatever it might be? Do you have heavy metals? What organs are stressed? What parts of your body are stressed? What do you need to change, and what things? This morning, I had a woman come in. She hadn't been in for 2 years and feeling miserable. She started a Candida program on Monday, but her chemical levels were high. She knew she was feeling miserable, but she's so stressed out, and it showed me that her emotion. She needed chiropractic. She needed massage. She needed to calm and relax and take care of her body from the inside out. And that's the kind of things that it tells us. So in a nutshell, detox at least 4 times a year. Take your supplements. I'm hearing people say, when I start feeling bad, I take my supplements. That's the wrong approach. We need to take them to keep from feeling bad. We need to do things to keep from feeling bad, okay? That'd be like saying, I'm gonna take a shower because my skin is all breaking out. Okay, and if my skin isn't breaking out, I don't need to bathe. Well, that's silly, all right? Clean eating, 80% of the food you put in your body should be what we call superfoods. 80%. The other 20%, you're okay at 80-20. Move. Minimum 20 minutes per day. Get out, take the time for yourself, love yourself enough to get out and move and maybe think. This morning I went for a 55-minute walk. I put on some my headphones, I put on some Christian music, and I just walked. And I felt great when I was done. But when I first woke up, I told myself, I don't want to. And then that was a little boy in me. And then the adult came on and said, get out of here. Okay, go do it. And I did, and I feel so much better for it. Decompress and breathe. Nothing is so important that you have to stop breathing, breathe shallow. When things get bad, and they will, stop and think, can I change it? And if the answer is no, don't worry about it. Breathe deep, let it go. Drink water and hydrate and get scanned, okay? So those are the things that we've talked about, the best way to protect yourself from all these pollutants that we cannot avoid, and we're not going to avoid them. We're not going to put ourselves in a bubble. We can't lock ourselves up, and we have to live a life, okay? But we have to live it in a healthy way, in the way that we're taking care of the temple. And the temple is each and every one of your bodies. It is your temple to take care of, love, and nurture. So the thing is, the first step is healing your body, mental, physical, and spiritual, okay? Okay. I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm going to ask Patty to put it back so we can see everybody. And I'm going to open it up for questions. Carol's on.
Yeah, and Heather joined.
And Heather's on too?
Heather's on, yay, Heather.
Right.
Carol.
Anybody else new?
Liz is on, and Karen made it home safely, or wherever she's at.
So Karen and Liz, just say hello.
I have a question.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
All right, sure.
I've just had two good friends that just had, one's having hip replacement next month and the other one had it like in February. And it just seemed like a lot of people are having hip replacements. Can you talk about that? And, knee replacements and what's the best ways to try to avoid having to get to that point? Because, you know, they're both active, healthy, pretty healthy people that I thought take good care of themselves. So anyway, if you could address that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, so I'm going to address the idea that we think somebody is healthy. We don't know. We don't know who's healthy or not. You can look at somebody and they look thin, they look happy, you don't know what's going inside their body, okay? When I was unhealthy and sick, people thought I worked 6 days a week, sometimes 7. I was active, I was moving furniture, I had a furniture business, I was carrying, people said, man, you got it all together, but I was sick, okay? So the idea that we don't know what's going on in somebody's body or their mind, that's number one. Number two, it's all bone health is about the immune system. And if people haven't been taking care of themselves, just like every other organ in the body breaks down, so does the bones. The bones get weak. Now, as we age, the bones are going to get weaker. So if we're Taryn's age or we're Liz's age, they don't worry about their bones right now. They should just as much as anybody else because it's preventive. But what happens is as people get older and then they say they have bone issues, they think it happened now. No, it didn't. It started happening a long time ago, okay? And it's just a buildup. So, and that's no different from all the other things that go on, whether it's cholesterol problems, blood pressure problems, all that stuff didn't happen today. All the stuff that I had wrong with me did not happen when I was 49. It started happening many, many years before, okay? So that's the thing you want to understand. So poor bone health is part of it. Now, I believe, and this is my belief, and I'm not going to say it's 1,000% true, but I honestly believe that doctors do too many hip replacements, too many knee replacements because it's surgery and that's how they make their money. Okay, I believe that some of that could be taken care of by just taking care of yourself and changing your lifestyle. Once the bones get bone on bone, then obviously it's very hard to rebuild and rejuvenate the ligaments and that cartilage within, okay? But there are some things you can take to help, but that's my opinion, okay? Who else has a question? Tammy, you have a question? No? Heather? Who's your friend, Heather?
Luna.
Luna.
Hi, Luna.
Hi, Luna. So, okay. As long as you're on, Heather, do you have a question?
Nope.
I have a question, John. Judy?
Sure, Judy.
Yeah, how important is an air purifier in the home, and do you recommend a brand?
Well, how important is an air purifier? A lot of it depends on where you live and what is around your community, how much toxic waste is in the air, and all that. I don't have a brand name that I could tell you right off the top of my head, but you can have your air tested as much as you can have your water tested and have somebody come in and test the air. Again, I don't believe that the average household needs per se an air filter. I just don't think that. You might need humidifiers parts of the year and a dehumidifier parts of the year. But before I would go and invest in that, I would have my air tested.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Oh, yay.
Did Karen and Lou say hi?
They did not say, I don't think they have the chance.
Hello.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, everyone.
So, Karen, why don't you say hi? Gosh, I can't even get my staff to talk.
On mute.
No, she's on mute. Karen's
Sorry, my
It's
mute
hard to
button
make
was
sense.
faulty.
Hi, everyone. I'm home.
Okay, good.
Hi, Tammy. Good
Okay.
to see you. Hi,
No,
Liz.
there's Liz now.
Okay, there she is. All right. Anybody have any questions? I explained everything so well that nobody has a question?
I have a question.
Okay, Kim.
I know that I've told you that I use a filtering pitcher that I got at River Valley Market, which is like Whole Foods. And is there, other than getting the machine like you have, is there another better option?
Yes. For your home?
Well, I only filter the water I drink, and cook with.
Well, yeah, to me, that's fine. I honestly believe that if you detox regularly, you take care of yourself, unless you have really, if your water smells like rotten eggs or something like that, okay? I don't think you really have to overly worry about shower water, as long as you take care of yourself otherwise. But drinking and cooking, I would highly recommend you have a filter that balances the pH of the water to make sure your water is balanced.
And that's why I got this particular one, because it does do that. It does balance the pH well.
My Zoom
this
call.
filter.
Can I?
Okay.
You can come and join.
Please, sir.
Yeah.
Sarah, you want to mute?
Sarah, is that your mom?
Lindsay says hi.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Lindsay.
No. Okay. Any other questions?
When you were listing the stuff with fat in it, you mentioned mushrooms. Mushrooms have fat in them?
Oh, the essential fatty acids? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
BFAs?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, they don't. They're really healthy. There's not really any fat, but I was just trying to point out clean foods as much as fats.
I don't care about fats, but I just was wondering. It was curious to me.
Yeah, okay. Hey, is there anybody? Okay, Muriel.
I just was wondering, what do you think of the mushroom coffee, like Rise?
You and your coffee. Okay, I'm not a fan of it. Okay, I'm not a fan of it, but it's better than coffee. Still better than coffee. Unfortunately, a lot of people will drink it and they'll use that in lieu of water. I still believe we need to half our weight in ounces of water every day. Then if you want to have some of that, it's fine, but then you need to make sure you get the water in first. And a lot of times people say, well, by that time I'm not thirsty, and my answer would be good. Okay.
My daughter Rachel started drinking mushroom coffee instead of Dunkin' and Starbucks or wherever she would go. She likes it. She feels like, it hasn't, dragged her down or made her feel any worse than regular coffee. And I think, if you're healthy enough, I think it's an okay alternative to caffeine, but still not on programs. We want to have people do it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, if a Dunkin' Donut coffee is what you want to stay away from. Okay, and Starbucks and all that, stay away from this stuff. Okay, but okay, anything else before we do a drawing? Georgiana and Jane haven't said a word.
I'm a little quiet tonight.
Okay, all right, we're gonna do a drawing. We'll give away 4 prizes. We're gonna give away a $100 gift certificate. We're gonna give away a $50 gift certificate and 2 $25